Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light. And welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And always, if you're new to the show, welcome, beautiful souls. On today's episode, we have a beautiful, amazing sister here today, Sister Ebboni X, as we'll be discussing today's topic: overcoming adversities through solitude. Sister Ebboni, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm well by the grace of Allah, and I'm grateful to be on the show.
Yes. Praise be to Allah. I'm so looking forward to discussing this beautiful topic. Now, Ebboni, for those who may not know who my girl is, do you mind letting our audience know just a little bit more about you?
Well, I'm Ebboni X, as you said. I am a mother of four, first and foremost, MGT. Um, I love to write, I love to create. So I have written a few books. I've written a postpartum journal for mothers, as well as an ebook for young women navigating divorce and single parenthood. I'm a content creator. I'm into all things wellness. So I have a few businesses that all pertain to either coaching, health and wellness in terms of like herbs, supplements, stuff like that. And I'm actually working right now on creating an event, a wellness event for Black women in my city. So yeah, that's
Woo! I love that. See, me and you, we gotta connect
yes,
because
ma'am.
me and you are on the same page. And I said my goal is to start traveling, to different cities. Of course, I want to start here in
Right.
my own city, but travel with different women and let's really like come together and heal. So I am super
I love
excited
that
for you.
because yes,
Yeah.
I want to travel as well. Obviously not outside, but just like experience different like study groups and mosques and stuff like that, and just like feel the believers, feel what the atmosphere is like.
Yes, absolutely. I pray that Allah blesses you with that opportunity to make that happen. I know He will, though. So,
Absolutely,
praise,
no doubt.
yes, praise be to Allah. Now, let's get started on today's episode: overcoming adversities through solitude. And please, as long as you guys' questions aren't too outrageous, do not hesitate to put any questions you may have for our guest, my sister Ebboni X, in the comment box below. Now, alone but not lonely, she faced tough times with courage. Each challenge, was a chance to grow strong. In solitude, she discovered her inner strength, becoming resilient and unyielding. Her story shows how women can overcome anything, finding power and peace within themselves. And that brings me to my first question for you, Ebboni. We always got to start with the root of things. That's how you get to understand someone. So,
Right.
do you mind letting us know, where did your journey begin in overcoming adversities through solitude?
Um, I mean, we could go way back.
Take it back,
um,
sis.
yes, ma'am. So I would say overcoming adversities with solitude. I would say honestly, since childhood, if I'm being like, if like I'm talking about the start, I grew up as most of us did, single parent household. I grew up in the hood, and for me, growing up in that environment, for some reason, there was always something inside of me that looked around and observed and said, like, this isn't it. Like the people that I seen around me, I'm like, I don't want to be like any of these people. So I always felt like I didn't really have examples of like what to do and what to be. It was always just like what not to be. So I think that I adapted, I guess I adapted something that made me go into myself and search for God and just be by myself and kind of almost teach myself. So I became very good at learning by observation and learning by trial and error and learning without necessarily having a physical, like somebody's telling me or showing me.
Mm.
And yeah, it just evolved over time in life. There's always difficulties in life. And yeah, I think, I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Now I do want to like go in deep in regards to what your book is about, and we didn't really get to that yet. But my sister, she has an ebook, and it's called Courageous Hearts. It's a young woman's guide to overcoming divorce and single motherhood. So
Yes.
if you can kind of share, like, where did your journey begin within that?
Okay. Well, I got married pretty young. So I got married when I was 23-ish. But I had already been with my children's father like since I was like 19. He's the one that actually like, brought me into the teachings essentially. He wasn't in though, so it was kind of just given to me and like, okay, this is what it is. And for me, I always gravitated towards that. So anyways, I was married up until, about 3 years ago. And for me, it was quite a challenge because, as women, as young girls, we're indoctrinated to believe that, like, go and find someone like the knight in shining armor, like someone to save you, someone to, you know what I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
make yourself complete. And obviously I know in Islam, like, that's half of our faith. But just in the sense of like being whole as a woman, we in this society put a lot of emphasis on like finding that in somebody else. So I think just within my relationship, experiencing the breakdown of it, um, pushed me back to myself, pushed me back to Allah, pushed me back to like, okay, how am I going to, figure this out, kind of thing. And for me, it was something where very early on I realized that, this wasn't going to work. This
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the person. This wasn't the environment. But we strive to make it work for our family, right? And Allah gave me signs, after
Yeah.
sign after sign after sign. And that saying, or I guess belief, where it's like first you get a whisper in your ear, then you might get a little, nudge.
Yeah, like,
Then you're getting kicked. Like then Allah's coming and like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, so I ignored, I ignored, and then I became very sick, like physiologically, like I became very ill.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
2020/2021, and it was like my body was just going against itself. That's what it felt like, and doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. Specialists didn't know what was wrong with me, and I healed myself of that. And I know now that that was directly related to the relationship and
Mm.
me having to get out of the relationship. So I believe that that sickness, and it was so extreme to where, I thought I was gonna die. And I was away from, I was out of the country at the time, and I messaged my brother and I was just like, listen, don't tell mom,
Yeah.
but I think I'm a goner. Okay, I'm just telling you so somebody knows. And I really, at that moment, accepted death as my fate. I was like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is it, right? And to have gone through that for like literally, and it's funny, it was 9 months. And as we know, like women are pregnant for 9 months, and I feel like that was almost like my rebirth in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. And it was really bad, it was really extreme, but I feel like that was like the catalyst to me focusing on myself, because I was forced to heal myself
Yes.
physically, which in a way, basically it all, healing goes hand in hand. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
as I'm healing myself physically, there's spiritual aspects of myself, emotional aspects of myself where I begin to heal as well. So it all kind of intertwined together. So
Yes.
I would say that that was the real like foundation of me just really being in this process of, coming back to myself, coming back to Allah, coming back to like putting myself back together in a sense.
Yes, yes. Ooh, wow. You know, what really got me was when you said that, you got to a point where you accepted death as your faith and your fate at that time, because what you were going through became that heavy. And I really believe us as women, we naturally are nurturers. And I don't think there's not any woman who doesn't want to make it work out with the one they have children with. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't. I mean, however, sometimes just thinking about how much we can ignore God's signs and letting us know that, I understand that this is what you want, but this is not what I want for you.
Right.
So he does things in order to show us, man, I'm not gonna lie. Like when you said like that little nud, and he just give it to you like, oh, you don't want to listen?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm a because a lie will literally, God will literally turn your world upside down to
Absolutely.
where he like you have no choice but to turn to him.
Mm-mm.
And I felt you so much because I went through the same situation in regards to you. I was pregnant for 9 months going through a rebirth.
Right. Right.
So when you brought up that 9 months, I was physically pregnant going through that rebirth and was going through everything during that pregnancy. So just to hear the relation that me and you have, and me just hearing your story, I just think is like so beautiful. So praise be to Allah.
Yes,
Thank you for
ma'am.
that. Um, I wanted to kind of touch into how, like, I guess I would say,
I have a question. I just don't wanna
go ahead, sis.
the outside of this window, I think they're cutting the grass. Can you hear that?
Let me see.
Well, if you have to do that, then you probably don't hear it.
I said, I
Okay.
don't think I hear it. They
Okay.
could listen. It's all nice and hot down here. They out. Everybody outside cutting grass
Right,
today.
right, right.
I'm like, okay, why right now? But okay. No, you good, sis. Um, man. So this just makes me think, like, giving advice to women, like how important is it for a woman to maintain her individuality? I will say individuality. I hope I said it right. While married, or while in a relationship in general, or just in general, in any relationship, friendships, relationships, because it seems as if, sometimes we can turn ourselves to being or trying to impress someone
Mhm.
unconsciously,
Right.
just to keep a situation. So what advice would you give a woman, or what would you say, or no, not what advice, why is it so important that a woman, to keep her individuality, while in a relationship?
Whew. Okay.
Sorry, I
Why is
kind of
it
I
important?
you
Why is it
got
important?
deep.
Right? Okay. So I think it's important because we're individuals ultimately, right? And I feel like when you come together in a relationship, everybody has a part to play. The man has a part to play. The woman has a part to play, right? And if you don't understand yourself, then you can't play your position, right? Like it's just like in sports, right? I'm a sports background. So in sports, it's like everybody has a position. And if you don't understand your strengths, your weaknesses, where you fall short, where what you're really good at, then you're unable to play your position properly.
Mm.
I think also too I actually just posted something the other day of Minister Ava. May Allah be pleased with her. And I man, when she speaks, I just love it.
Yes.
But she was speaking about being single, and she was speaking about the art of being single,
Mm.
and she was speaking about like, oftentimes we get eager to be in a relationship because we want companionship, we want, our other half or etc. Right? But we should be utilizing that time to
Mm.
understand ourselves, to be, in solitude with ourselves, be in solitude with Allah, so we understand ourselves, because a lot of times there's work that we have to do within. There's things that we have to heal. A lot of us have, daddy issues. A lot of us have hurt. A lot of us have, trauma that we have not dealt with. So we go into the relationship, and we become codependent. We become,
Mm,
and I speak for myself, because that's what I realized that I was in my relationship. You become codependent to where you're not even thinking for yourself. You're almost
mm,
like, you need the other person to even make a decision. You need the other person just for almost like a blankie, like just a comfort. And
yeah.
it's not even a conscious comfort. It's not like, oh, this is my, when you're in a relationship, the person is supposed to be, an aspect of comfort for you. But I'm speaking about unconsciously, and from a point of from an unhealed point, from a point of not strength, from a point of weakness, So yeah, I think it's definitely very important to do the work before you get into a relationship. And that's, for me, I never courted. I came into the teachers, I didn't know what courtship was. I didn't know, and it's funny because he knew what courtship was, but there was no courting, right?
Right.
And I feel like even in that process, it's like you come together on, okay, this is me and this is me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that process allows you to come as an individual. So yes, there's a point in a relationship where you're supposed to come together. You're supposed to be one in certain aspects of things. You're supposed to become one mind in some aspects of things, but I feel like there's still ways to keep your individuality in that process, if that
Mm,
makes sense.
mm,
And
mm,
it's important to keep your individuality in that process.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love how you broke that down. It's kind of like, I guess we can say, um, it's more, I feel like it's more easier for a woman to become codependent than a man. I'm not speaking with for men though, because I'm
Right.
not for sure. But you know, understanding the reason as to why someone should strive to heal or get themselves together even before you get into a relationship. As I was as a younger girl, now that I'm in the nation, I'm like, what am I doing in relationships anyway? I don't know nothing. I'm 14
No
years
business.
old with little boyfriends. What was I
Right.
doing? So it just makes me think, just over time, dealing with situations and dealing with other people's energy.
Hmm.
You don't know what this person's been through, and you just hop in a situation, and then you're constantly just just giving this person your baggage
Right.
because you haven't resolved certain issues. Now, I do believe that we're always on this journey of healing.
Absolutely.
So it may still be things that you may have to work on when it comes to when you're actually in a relationship.
Oh, for
But
sure.
you should be, yeah. But you should be so you should be so aware of yourself and so confident within yourself to know that if you are able, when you start another relationship, you're not going into that relationship with any of those old things.
Absolutely.
And I realized that even as I'm going through my healing journey, like I said, healing with Angelica, y'all healing with me, because this sister right here, she helping me,
Right.
so as we're going through this healing journey, as I'm going through this healing journey, I'm also going back and just recognizing things that I was scared to even admit.
Mm,
And then when I think about those times where I allowed men to do things, seeing, dang, like I didn't value myself, I didn't understand myself, I didn't know myself. So that takes me back to actually loving myself. And I was just listening to something earlier about self-love, and how you know it's something in the Bible about you love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
right.
And we don't really take that in content in regards to really loving ourselves. Do you really love yourself enough to give that same love to another human being?
Right.
So that makes me think like, dang, I need to go back and learn myself and learn to love myself.
Right.
You know. So praise be to Allah. I love that, girl. You got me going. But I
Yes.
see here we have a question here from Brother Tony. I don't want to, miss your question because I get to talking. So let me see if I put it up on the screen. Assalamu alaikum. How did the life giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the divine guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan help you gain new perspective of yourself and how to overcome difficulties in life?
How did life things um, help you gain new perspective of yourself and how to overcome difficulties in life? Thank you for the question. I would say, wow. Okay. So first of all, like I was saying, I as a child I kind of adapted this thing where, not to say it's easy for me, but I just have a certain perspective about difficulties and challenging myself and self-development. So that's why even when I heard the teachings, I gravitated towards it like very well. No, I was a little bit resistant at first, but it was easy for me to accept, really, because it was so in line with kind of how I was already. And I feel like the teachings helped me understand myself, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Like even reading the study guides and stuff like that on overcoming difficulty, and some of the time I'm reading it, I'm just like, wow, like I knew that, but I never understood it like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I seen it, I felt it, but I never understood it like that. And yeah, that's pretty much in terms of difficulties, but also just, I've never been the type to, like, obviously we all have weaknesses and we get weak at times, but I've never been the type to like feel sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that the teachings, it's like, listen, I'm a God. So like what can't I do? Like what is too hard for a God to do? Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So just having that in the back of my head, even when I not to say I strayed away, but when I was kind of like away and doing my own thing, like it was always in the back of my head. Like Allah was always there. The teachings were always there to be like, no, like this is who you are. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, yeah.
I love that, sis. I love it. Praise be to Allah. When I say, phew, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was resistant.
Right.
It took me. I knew about the teachings in 2019. It took me what 19, 20, it took me 4 years to actually be like, you know what? I'm
Oh
in.
wow. Right.
I'm in here
Right.
because I was just like, why am I playing with myself?
Right. Right.
But
Right.
just like you said, like it was things that I felt like I already knew, but like the teachings kind of like magnified it and
Right.
made it like, wow, this is real, and I feel it, and it resonated, so much. So yes, I love that. Thank you,
Right.
Brother Tony, for that question. Now I wanted to kind of dive back deep into what I had just discussed before I asked this question. Um, I really want to talk about self love,
Right.
like as a woman, like how did being able to come into self love help you overcome your adversities through that time?
Major in a major way. Um, I just want to say something that you said before.
Mhm.
You said, I don't remember verbatim, but you said something like you allowed. You said like the stuff that you allowed because of how you saw yourself, like the stuff that you
Yeah.
allowed to go
That,
on or for people to treat you, or right.
yep.
So for me, I've always been kind of confident. I've always been confident, because I don't know why, but I've always been confident. But confidence doesn't necessarily mean self love, which
Mm,
I've learned now. Like I'm learning now, because I thought I loved myself, but I still allowed certain things to go on. I allowed myself to be mistreated. I allowed myself to be in an environment that I knew and I could hear that I wasn't supposed to be in, but I allowed it to go on. I allowed mistreatment, right? And I feel like only when I okay, so see how the minister says, and it's a Bible verse, like perfect love casts out fear,
Mm,
right? Perfect love casts out fear. So I'm in this situation, and part of the reason, a huge, I would say the reason why I can't take the next step, or the reason why I can't get out of that situation, or feel I can't get out of that situation, is because of fear, right?
mm,
So only in loving myself enough
mm,
to eliminate that fear was I able to actually take the step and say, I'm leaving the situation. You know what
mm,
I mean? Like, imagine, like, I'm out of the country, I'm sick as heck, I have 4 children, and I don't even know how I'm gonna even be able to like get plane tickets to leave. Like, do you know what I mean? And that is fearful, along with the fear of failure, the fear of having to be a single mother, the fear, like all these things, right? But I had to love myself enough to be accountable to myself and say, you know what, at the end of the day, like, we can, as women, and a lot of us tend to do this at times, is blame the other person and find fault in the other person and say, well, you did this to me, or you know what I mean, like be resentful or whatnot. And it's like, we have to be accountable to ourselves, and we have to love ourselves enough to not allow it. So yeah, I would say, just I had to, coming back to me being physically sick, like I had to love myself and nurture myself and nurse myself back to health.
mm,
And that took a lot of love. That took looking at
mm,
myself in the ways that I was afraid to, the things that are not so nice and pleasant and look nice and all of those things. You know what I mean? And that led me to loving myself, like really truly loving myself and observing myself. Like, now I look at myself and like I'm here watching myself like operate, and it's
yeah.
fascinating to me, like watching myself grow. I'm just like, wow, why did you do that? Like, wow, that was cool. You handled that different. You know what I mean? So man, self-love is definitely like a huge, and I'm not talking about, it's thrown around very almost frivolously,
Mm-hmm.
frivolously, where it's like almost cliche, like self-love, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm talking about like true self-love, like being disciplined self-love, doing the hard things self-love, looking at the parts of yourselves that might be ugly or unpleasant self-love. That's what I'm talking about when I say that.
Whew. I'm a little
I hope
speechless.
that I sometimes I can kind of go off.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I love it. I need all that energy, y'all. And y'all, if y'all
Different.
are enjoying this episode, I need some interactions, y'all. Put the firebox in the comments. No, forget the firebox. Put them hearts. Because we talking about self-love right now. Put some hearts in the comment box. Wow. You touched on something so deep, because self-love has been just thrown around as like cliche. Like, oh, self-love, get your hair and nails done,
Right.
go to the spa. No, it's more than
Right.
so much more than that. And it really, like you said, it takes discipline, and it takes you really wanting to heal things within yourself
Right.
so you can be better, so you can love yourself better.
Absolutely.
I think I think as long as we, are here and alive, there's always something new to learn about yourself, so I
Absolutely.
love that. And and it just made me think, just a hint of advice. You talk about that fear. A lot of the times, a lot of women, even myself, we stay in situations because in our minds the outcome look like, ooh, like you said, I got 4 babies. I
Right.
ain't feeling well. I'm outside of the country. Do I just compromise, or do I just take this jump and just
Right.
do?
Right.
And that is where that courage. Oh, that's where that courage comes
Absolutely.
in. That to make that step and that jump to do that, because you love yourself enough to leave and let go of something that is no longer benefiting you, or you're benefiting anything from that situation. So
Right.
I love that. Praise be to Allah. And if you guys are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, 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 please show your support by donating today to I did put my cash up on there, but I want you to text the word donate to 937-313-2466. Also, if you all are enjoying all of the episodes here on CTG broadcast, we have been getting new people on the broadcast, new shows on the broadcast. Praise be to Allah, praise be to Allah for Brother James as well. Please show your support. Information to donate will be shown on the screen below. Again, I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode, Overcoming Adversities Through Solitude, with my beautiful sister, Ebboni X. So I want us to dive deep into this ebook that you have, right? So let me see here, because I have my questions laid out for you, girl. So before I get to that, I did want to know, let me see here. Can you share? No, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about your ebook. And then from there, I can ask the question that I want to ask. Let's talk about your ebook. My sister, she has a beautiful, again, ebook called Courageous Hearts for young women to learn how to overcome divorce and single motherhood. So please, let's talk more about that. What inspired you to do? I know your
What do you want
situation
me to say?
inspired you, but
What's the question? Oh, what inspired me?
yeah, what inspired you to create? I said I know your situation inspired you to create the book,
Right.
but what is your intentions with this ebook for young women?
Right. Okay. So, well, my intention behind it is to support women who are going through the same thing that I went through. I feel like as I was going through it, like now I can smile about it and be like, I got through it. But girl, there were some dark times. There were some real dark times. And I felt like I felt like, just as I mentioned, like I had to figure it out by myself. I had to navigate that by myself. And I feel like maybe it likely would have been easier if I had, you know what I mean, like a guideline. If I knew to, you know what I mean, avoid this, I could have expedited the process, maybe. So in creating this, I intend for women who are going through this to read it and, understand, one, they're not alone. Two, they can get through it, and literally the steps that it will take to actually get through it. And, a huge part of it, as we were talking about, self-love, but not only self-love, just self-study in general, like a huge part of it, getting through this, being able to, withstand the pressures and the downfalls that may come with being a single mother or, being divorced, is analyzing yourself, assessing yourself, training yourself, developing yourself. So in the workbook, it's a lot of self discovery, self analysis. And I would also want to say that, I'm a student of digital real estate. I'm a content creator. I am really learning to, use my pain, in a sense, as my purpose. Like I already knew from since I was a child that I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to help women. I didn't necessarily know how, in which way, but I know nothing happens in vain, nothing happens on accident. So I'm using what I went through to, help, because that's, shout out to Coach Condon. He's like, what's your superpower? What can you help people with? And I'm like, well, there's one thing I know how to do.
Yes.
Get through a difficulty, and particularly get through a divorce and dealing with single motherhood. So that's just, I have, what I have to offer women is not just about divorce and single motherhood. I want to make it clear about that. Like, I definitely don't want to over identify with, that aspect of my life. It's just one part of my story. But right now, in this time, in this space and time, that's what is important for me to offer right now.
Yes, yes. And she has the ebook and a workbook to go with it. Me personally, I love workbooks because it allows me to know if I'm comprehending
Right.
everything that I took in, you know, and I would definitely, I will be leaving information for you guys to get that here after the show. So praise be to, unless you have, do you
So
have, mhm.
if you can either message me or follow me on Instagram, just message me ebook DM, and I will hook you up.
Yes, yes, yes. Y'all hear that? I'm gonna put her information on the screen below. Just connect with her on IG to get that. Now let's get to the single motherhood.
The what? Sorry.
Like I said, let's get to the single motherhood.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Motherhood in general is the best hood. I'm gonna just say this. You
The
know,
hood.
it's the best.
It's the best.
However, and oh, see, I just forgot what I was about to say. You brought up digital real estate. Listen, Coach Khan, that's my coach too. Praise be to
Right. Right.
God.
Right. Right.
Beautiful man. Listen, y'all content creators and y'all have gifts that y'all want to share. It's that time. We're actually really in a time of doing for self. And what way, because you, what better way to do for self than by being able to share your story and empower and inspire people, and or just be able to literally do what it is that you love and create an impact and income from that. So definitely look into that. I'll provide information later on in the show. But I want to go back to single motherhood. Now, I wanted to know how important is it for you as a mom to not display the difficulties you may have experienced through that separation and now being a single mom?
You mean like displaying my difficulties like to my children?
Yes. Like how, well, I don't even know. During that time, how were you maintaining yourself and not trying to get the children, I want to say, involved to where they are experiencing your pain as well?
Mm. Well, so okay, so throughout my particular situation, there's been like evolutions of the story and like added on kind of like issues, I guess. And there were times when I have to like process something before like bringing it to them. So let me just say, like my children, like my children don't go to daycare. They're with me. Like my children, when you see me, you see my children. We're together all the time. So, and I'm very like transparent with them. I'm very open with them. We speak about things. We speak about because, and I speak about this in my ebook, right? As a woman, we're going through a divorce. We're going through a separation. We're experiencing, single motherhood for the first time, but your children are very much experiencing that as well. You know what I mean? Just like I'm experiencing a loss, they're experiencing a loss as well. So for me, though there is some separation between like my feelings and what I'm sharing with them, I am still very open with them about even in overcoming difficulties. Like I'm very honest with them. Like, listen, this is a difficult time. We're
Mhm.
going through it right now, but this is not the end all and be all. We're gonna get through this. Like, you know what I mean? But there were definitely times. Like I remember, literally, this was actually 1 month, 1 year ago this month, where I got this news and it was like devastating news for me. And usually, like I said, I'm very open with them, but this was something that I had to process myself and figure out how I'm going to bring it to them and let them know, kind of thing. And I'm also a person that's like I'm not very good at hiding my feelings.
Mhm.
So it was very difficult for me for probably like maybe 2 weeks to a month where like sometimes I would literally just leave the room and cry,
Mhm.
and sometimes they would see me cry and say like what's going on, and I'm just like, listen, I'm okay, don't worry, I'm good, I'm just feeling my feelings right now. But I don't feel like we should necessarily, I don't know, this is just my opinion, I don't feel like we should hide what we're going through from our children. Obviously they don't need to know everything because they're children, but I think it serves as a good learning tool to
Mhm.
let them know that, listen, I'm a human. I go through difficulties, but I get through difficulties.
Mm.
I'm strong. I can get through it because, we're modeling it back. We're modeling to them how they're supposed to be, right?
Mm.
Children often don't listen to what you say. They watch what you do and follow what you do, right? So yeah, I don't feel like, I feel like we grew up, our generation, we grew up with parents who, like, I now as an adult am learning certain things that my mom went through when I was a child, but
Mm.
I didn't know. But in knowing what she went through helps me to understand, like, whoa, wow, now the pieces are
Yeah.
together. This makes sense. Whereas I feel like, if you just give it to them as it comes, then it's okay. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We'll see in a few years if I'm right. I don't know.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. You're right. Like our children, they feel us, and they know things. And
Absolutely.
but I love how I think it all depends on the type of parent you are. Um,
Right.
Everyone's different. Like you said, you explain
Absolutely.
how you handle it and how you do things. But I believe, um, because our situations are their situations.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the process of separation um, from mom and dad. They're experiencing it as well. So being able to maintain yourself
Right.
and also be able to know when to. I love how you say, like, I take it in first and see how I'm going to tell them or see how I'm going to word it to them.
Right.
That is so important,
Right.
especially when it comes to a delicate situation as that. So praise be to Allah.
Yes.
Um, I want to talk about now you have 10 amazing steps in your book, and it's so cutthroat, like it goes straight to the point. And I love how you give application as far as what that this is what I'm telling you, this is what I'm advising you to do. But here are the steps that you should take
Right.
you know so I wanted to know, just from those 10 pinpoints that you have in your ebook, which was one of your favorite points from those 10 steps that you actually implemented and tried. Which was what was one of your favorite steps?
Mm, I would say probably focus on your children.
Hmm.
Focus on your children. It's kind of two parts, because it's one, in one aspect, focusing on your children when it comes to dealing with your ex partner, as well as, focus on, like what I just said, like focus on their well-being and mental health kind of thing, but also to, like, on a personal level, dealing with your inner child, dealing with coming back to healing those parts of yourself, and they go hand in hand, because I had to learn how to play with my children, like, I'm not talking about, like, just like play, you kick a ball around, but like really play, like be silly with them, like joke around with them, like do somersaults and whatever with them. You know what I mean? Like, for me, that was very healing for me, because I know, and when I was in the midst of this part of my relationship, I didn't realize it, but only looking back on it, I'm like, wow, there was like a whole probably year or two that, like, I didn't laugh in my house. I
Right.
didn't joke in my house. It was just tense. It was just like doing the logistics of being a wife and being a mother, but there was no, like, joy, there was no fun.
Mm.
So coming back to that and being able to experience that with my children has been such a blessing. And like, I see the though, they're dealing with loss as well, but seeing them be happy and seeing them have joy and seeing them, connect with each other and connect with me, like, that for me is definitely one of my favorites. I
Mm.
think it's so important, because we can get caught up in self and how we feel, and going into like hermit mode where we're just trying to isolate. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like even when I feel like, and I don't want to go like off on a tangent, so stop me at any time, but
You okay, girl?
I feel like a huge part of going through difficulties and getting through difficulties with a certain type of attitude, like
Mm-hmm.
a higher level of attitude, is trying to understand what we're supposed to learn in the difficulty. Like, what is the purpose of the difficulty?
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I had to ask myself, I'm like, why did Allah, why did you give me not one child, not two children, not three, four children, okay? And any mother, Sister Angelica, you have one child. You know how hard that is, right? I
Just
have,
with one.
right, just with one. I have four children. I'm like, why did Allah give me four children to raise by myself
Mm.
without the possibility of getting any help? Why? What is the purpose? And as I'm growing and learning, I'm really beginning to see why he gave me them. You know what I mean? Four is foundation in our teaching. Number four, it means foundation.
Mm.
And though I wish to have, in the future, inshallah, other children, this is my foundation.
Yeah.
Like, they are my foundation. I'm learning about myself in dealing with and observing them. I have
Mm.
four people who are, though they have the same mother and father, they are four completely different people, four completely different personalities. I have to learn how to deal with them differently. I have to learn how to be patient with them. But
Mm.
what am I learning? I'm learning how to be patient with myself. I'm learning how to be gentle with myself. I'm learning all of these things, how to be a child again, like how to have fun, you know what I mean? And not just be so robotic and serious all the time,
Mm.
right? So I feel like they're definitely 100% like a huge blessing and a huge learning tool. I mean, I don't like that word there, but for lack of a better word,
Yeah,
um
I get it.
learning, yeah, right? For my own growth and my own journey. So yeah, I
Ooh.
don't even know if I answered your question at this
No,
point.
you did. Yeah, you explained like your favorite part, of your ebook and about you discussing that and how we should, get back connected with our children at that time. I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
that is so beautiful, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm a new mom. This is
Right,
this is my first time doing this thing. You
right.
know, so as I'm seeing my son and like, hey, children, your children will boy, they
It be your own children.
man, you be like, I didn't even know I had this in me. Like, so it really makes you go back and look at yourself like, ooh,
Absolutely,
I need to work on this. I need to work on that. And I
absolutely,
really believe like, man, children, little do we know, like our children are a blessing.
one hundred
Like
percent.
even with this, even in the storms and the difficulties we're going through, like if you're blessed to have have a child or children in that time, feed off their energy,
Right.
and I just love that so much. I can't wait to re-listen to this because I've been wanting to kind of just actually like be in the moment with my
Right.
son, you
Right.
know, see, actually watch him operate. And
Mm-hmm.
my son, he's so goofy. He thinks
Right.
everything's funny.
Right.
I can be a little serious, but like the way that he laughs at things, and that just makes me think about. It takes me back to Closing the Gap, one of my favorite books.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
when the minister was just speaking about, I may not be saying this verbatim, but just how he spoke about how he handled, I guess I want to say he handled just the people back talk or backbiting. People talk
Right.
about him. He goes back into that childlike mind state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because when you think about our children, they ain't worried about what nobody got to say about them. They not worried about none
Not
of
at
that.
all.
They keep it moving. They still laughing, and so that made me think about what the minister said as far as how he overcame that. He
Right.
went back to the childlike state, and just went off that energy. So praise be to Allah. I love it. Oh, this is so healing, Sister Ebboni. Oh my gosh. Yes, praise be to Allah. So I have one more question before we end the show. Why we gotta end the show? Like what? Like, listen, I can talk all day.
So can I.
Y'all gonna be like, if she won't be quiet. Okay, so I wanted to know, like, looking back at everything you've been through, not even just with this particular situation, single motherhood, divorce, just with all the challenges that you went through, like, what advice would you give to another woman facing similar challenges that you've been through?
What advice would I give to other women facing similar challenges that I've gone through?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, I mean, I feel like most problems that we have, the solution is within us. It's not somebody not doing what they're doing, the environment not being what it is, anything external that we can point to being the problem. Regardless of any of those things, I feel like I know that the solution is with us
Mm.
as an individual. So I would say, one, focus on yourself, focus on what you can do, what you can change. That's whether you're dealing with your children, whether you're dealing with another person, whether you're dealing with people at work, whether you're whatever it is.
Mm.
Focus on yourself and what you can correct and what you can do. Because in that case, we actually empower ourselves to take control of the situation as much as we can. Obviously, Allah is in control, but as much as we can to solve the problem. Whereas when we're looking externally and we're looking at somebody else and what they're doing or not doing or what the environment is or isn't, etc., it's a disempowered state. We disempower ourselves by putting the solution into somebody else's hands or something else's hands, right? Um, so yeah, I would just say focus on self and also have faith in Allah. Have faith in, I guess mostly believers on here, but you have to have faith. You have to know that you can get through. You have to know that there is something bigger and there is something more, because I feel like no matter what I've gone through in life, like, and it's been, man, I'm gonna write a book one day because there's
Yeah.
so much, right? I feel like the common thread is that I've always had faith, even when it was, when I was younger and I was understanding and I was like going to church and whatnot. Like, I've always strived to understand God
Mm.
and have faith in that. So that for me is like the common thread. Even when I was sick and I thought I was dying, I'm like, listen, once I got past that, anyways, like accepting death, I was like, you know, I know that if this is this bad, the other side has to be that much better equally. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Even going through what I'm going through now, it's like, if I'm struggling right now, like everything has balance. Like, it has to get better. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So you have to know that it's gonna get better. You have to know that you have to move forward, and it can and will get better as long as you believe that it will.
Mm. 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 That just that just makes me think. I don't know how they say. They say joy cometh in the morning.
Right, right.
Always, always praise be to Allah, Sister Ebony. Wow, this was so beautiful. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining me today, Ebony, to discuss this amazing topic: overcoming adversities through solitude. I would also like to thank my amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today, as always. I pray that this episode was informative, valuable, and healing for you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast station. Closing the Gap broadcast on Facebook, CTG broadcast on YouTube, and Healing with Angelica podcast on Facebook and YouTube to help spread this message of healing to those in need. Listen, y'all, I've been out here for 2 years. Okay, 2 years. I need y'all to go ahead and show me some love. Go ahead,
Hello,
subscribe.
consistency.
Go ahead, show me some love. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you know anyone that is in need of healing and needs to hear this message, share this with them. I have over 300. I got a lot of videos on my YouTube. I got a lot of videos that can help you out on your healing journey. So be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe on there. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey and don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist. To get started on your healing journey today, text the word ready to 937-313-2466. Information will be shown on your screen below, including the Healing Tribe merch we have here. I know we getting warm, but we do have thinner sleeve shirts, all in different colors. So definitely be sure to check it out. More info about that as well. Just text merch to 937-313-2466. Also, a friendly reminder. Hold on, y'all. Y'all gotta see my mom. That's my mom right there. She representing. Rep, rep. Also, a friendly reminder that any purchases that you make is to help to sustain and support Healing with Angelica. So please keep that in mind. So if you want to keep seeing Healing with Angelica on the air, please support with a generous donation. Also, I gotta hit y'all with the commercials at the end. Also, if anyone you know or yourself are in need of prayer, Healing with Angelica would like to send a special prayer to you. And you can do this by texting the word prayer to 937-313-2466. And also, I wanted to let everyone know that Angelica X Me soon will be doing some solo episodes. So please, be looking forward to that. I would like to, let you guys in on Healing with Angelica and finally take y'all through my healing journey on a personal level. So be looking forward to that, you guys. So, Sister Ebboni, before we end today's show, I know you said a lot, but you ain't said enough for me. I just need to know. Before we end today's show, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
Um, Pressure. I'm not sure. I would just say, we're in some very serious times, and even though I'm smiling, some very serious times. So if no other time was good, this is the perfect time to focus on self,
Mm,
focus on Allah, focus on your healing, focus on overcoming your difficulties now when they're not so grand, because I know what I'm going to say. So in the study guides, the minister says, and this is not verbatim, but he basically tells us that when we overcome difficulty, when we face a difficulty head on and we go and face it straight up, that we build the will to overcome other difficulties, right? Whereas on the other hand, when we run from our difficulties, when we, cower away from dealing with something head on, we actually end up deteriorating our will to overcome other difficulties. And
mm-hmm.
if we know that in life in general, there's always going to be a difficulty factor. Just knowing what time it is right now, it's very
Ooh,
important to build that will of overcoming your difficulties, the little things, while we still can. So when things get a little rough or a lot rough, that we're able to maintain, we're able to be 10 toes and just stay firm in, who we are and what we believe, and just putting one foot in front of the other and being firm in our resolve to live and survive and thrive. So I mean, I don't want to end it dark, but yeah, just love yourself. Love yourself, be good to yourself, learn yourself, treat yourself well. And yeah.
You said I don't want to end it dark. I thought that was beautiful. You gave a real life advice. Hey, we
Right.
have some hard times, so you need to
Yes, man.
really we need to really be building up our will because
Absolutely.
I really don't even think like even I'm not comparing difficulties because everybody going through something in particular, but we are really blessed at this time. So even
Absolutely.
the difficulties that you are going through right now. I ain't even gonna lie. It definitely don't compare what's going on down there in Gaza.
Right.
It don't compare.
Right.
So listen, we love you. I love you, Sister Ebboni. Thank you for joining me today. Please, please, please get my sister workbook. If you're a single mommy, if you trying to overcome divorce, whatever you going through, honestly, this is a book for all women. I need y'all to hit my sister up. Her information is down here on the screen below. DM her ebook, and she'll get you together.
Man.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I love you all. May Allah continue to bless you guys this day. And we'll see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light.